What is also the most important aspect of this is that taking over the DC police, like what he did in Los Angeles as well, is part of this massive consolidation of power that Donald Trump has been undertaking. So when you call an emergency for everything, and he even said today, remember it is an emergency. It is not. He said at first, I have 30 days. And then he said, well, I can make it a national emergency and then it would be forever. I could do it. I don't know if I will, how he plays around with that. What he's doing with redistricting mid-cycle, how he's going after universities and law firms, how he's firing people who give him information that he doesn't want, like the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
All legal.
And he puts in a guy who goes to January 6th who's going to do what he wants, and maybe we won't have a job report.
What is your alternative? Please tell us.
To have a Democratic president.
I mean, she was on fire here. She hit everything from inflation.
So we had the worst inflation in the history of our country. And now our inflation is down to a perfect number, a beautiful number, hardly any at all.
Headline number. It was expected up 0.2, came up 0.9%.
They're just acting like Democrats.
And you say Donald Trump tells it like it is. Literally today, he said inflation cooling right where we want it. And we got the U.S. wholesale inflation number, which is the highest that it's been in 3 years. Fresh and dry veggies up 39%, beef up 80%, toys, appliances, shoes, things that we all need. 44% of people are saying now that they are going to have to go into debt to get their kids back to school.
Is that word to his DC distraction? And then the cherry on top was leaving Miss Alternate Facts herself, Kellyanne Conway, utterly dumbfounded. All in a day's work.
Get 5 Republicans out, and they could also shore up 4 vulnerable Democrats in swing seats and make sure we get those as well.
It's
and when
easy
there
to get
are
elected, I'll clarify. It's easy, simple to get elected and reelected and reelected as a Democrat, as a socialist, as a
Gavin Newsom is a socialist.
As a coddle criminals. Has he condemned Mondami? Has he condemned what's going on here?
Stop just throwing whatever on the wall about this. You're just using buzzwords.
you.
As Trump brings another week of mayhem to a close that somehow outdid last week's obvious attempts at a distraction where the man was literally yelling at reporters from a rooftop, this week he just went ahead and created a war on crime in a city that just hit a 30-year low regarding crime.
It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct.
Well, he's referring to a provision in the D.C. Home Rule Act, which allows him to declare a police emergency relating to a federal matter. They haven't defined what the emergency is, especially with crime rates at a 30-year low in the District of Columbia. And he's deployed the National Guard. At least I'm happy to see that he acknowledges he has the power to activate the National Guard. That was what he refused to do 4.5 years ago when the Capitol and his own vice president and Congress were under attack by the mob violence that he unleashed against us. And he sat on his hands for many hours and then later asserted he somehow didn't have the authority to deploy the National Guard. That was a real emergency. This is not a real emergency. He was not asked to send in the National Guard or take over the police by the House or the Senate or the mayor or the DC Council. This looks to me like an emergency which is manufactured because of a public relations crisis relating to the Epstein file. He doesn't want to release the Epstein file, so he wants everybody to look in another direction.
But as the subject of Trump's behavior was brought up on Fox News The 5, Jessica Tarlov was back in a seat that most wouldn't sit in, even for the $787 million that Fox pay out in lawsuits. But she does, and we're all appreciative, as she makes it her duty to poke holes in the fallacy. Number one being Trump's authoritarian approach to anyone or thing that dares call into question his performance.
What is also the most important aspect of this is that taking over the DC police, like what he did in Los Angeles as well, is part of this massive consolidation of power that Donald Trump has been undertaking. So when you call an emergency for everything, and he even said today, remember it is an emergency. It is not. He said at first, I have 30 days. And then he said, well, I can make it a national emergency and then it would be forever. I could do it. I don't know if I will, how he plays around with that. what he's doing with redistricting mid-cycle, how he's going after universities and law firms, how he's firing people who give him information that he doesn't want, like the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
All legal.
And he puts in a guy who goes to January 6th who's going to do what he wants, and maybe we won't have a job report.
What is your alternative? Please tell us.
To have a
one.
Democratic president.
Okay. That worked out really well.
Solved it.
Yes.
2028, let's go.
Yeah.
News, thank you for calling.
And from there, it was over to his decision to deploy the National Guard, who you will find posing for pictures and walking around with their hands in their pockets. And I don't know, they could possibly be put to better use helping combat the deadly flooding in Tennessee, but what do I know?
So I don't think necessarily that they're paid, but I understand that those people probably have a higher quality of life than a lot of people who are inner city DCians. And the polling has always been consistent that minority residents of these cities want more police, not less. So I'm not fighting with that. I think that if you just say there's no problem at all, that you're going to be on the wrong side of it. And we've lost too many 80-20 issues. But I think that we can be smart about this. You can point out the fact that you have members of the National Guard walking on the mall and around Georgetown guarding Sephora. And then that's an absurd use of tax dollars. You could also say, hey, Republicans, you took $1 billion from the DC budget, money that was going to go to police salaries and school programs, because we know also kids don't commit crimes if they're actually in school. That's a good thing. So that's a solution. Give us back our money. I also think Muriel Bowser has been very conciliatory with Donald Trump. She doesn't want to be on his bad side. She immediately took up Black Lives Matter Plaza when he came back into office. Why didn't he say, I'm thinking about doing this, Mayor Bowser, how can we work together? We have the same goals and the same aims. Do it with the police chief as well and try to figure that out.
Bowser is in Martha's Vineyard right now.
For one day on a personal family matter. I don't know what's going. She's not going to be found at a party on the beach. If you are about to do that, don't do that, because I just said that you're not going to.
They're just acting like Democrats.
And you say Donald Trump tells it like it is. Literally today, he said inflation cooling right where we want it. And we got the U.S. wholesale inflation number, which is the highest that it's been in 3 years. Fresh and dry veggies up 39%, beef up 80%, toys, appliances, shoes, things that we all need. 44% of people are saying now that they are going to have to go into debt to get their kids back to school.
And this comes as Trump in perhaps his pettiest move yet. And yeah, that is saying something, because there is a lot to choose from. Conveniently had his federal agent stationed outside the venue that Gavin Newsom was holding a press conference, directly rebuking the president's gerrymandering efforts, an assault on democracy.
And here we are, in open and plain sight, before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system. He doesn't play by a different set of rules. He doesn't believe in the rules. And as a consequence, we need to disabuse ourselves of the way things have been done. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt. And we have got to meet fire with fire. And we've got to be held to a higher level of accountability. So that's what this is about. It's not complicated. We're doing this in reaction to a president of the United States that called a sitting governor of the state of Texas and said, find me 5 seats. We're doing it in reaction to that act.
And by the way, this game that Newsom is playing, the one Trump likes to think that he invented, we need more of it. More deliberate, focused aggression towards fighting back, not just with words, but political action.
Well, I think it's pretty sick and pathetic. And it just said everything you need to know, the setting that we're under. That they chose the time, manner, and place to send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. Said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact. They'll deny it, I'm sure. Maybe they won't deny it. Said everything you know about the authoritarian tendencies of the President of the United States. I said in a moment ago, wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a 3rd term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history. Doesn't believe in free enterprise, crony capitalism. He is wrecking this country, wrecking the economy, It's a lawless president. Wake up, America. Wake up to what's going on.
Now, the thing is, I live in Cali, right? I know that he's not everyone's kettle of fish. What he is he is up for the fight to stand against the authoritarian regime that we see unfolding in front of us.
We're moving forward with a special election on November 4th, coinciding with other local municipal elections to neutralize anything that Greg Abbott and Republicans are doing in Texas. They do 5 seats, we do 5 seats. And we're not only doing that, we're also announcing, as a consequence of this effort, a commitment to national independent redistricting.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.